Good evening, everybody. All right. It's on up here. It's unmuted up here. See the red dot? Nobody turned the speakers on. So they're hearing me at home. Welcome. Good evening, live stream. It's just kind of weird here that the speakers aren't on. I don't know who did that, but oh, there we go. It's weird how the speakers don't work when they're not turned on. I've never noticed that before.
They should just know you want them on.
I mean, we're in an age of we're in an age of hey Siri, turn on the speakers.
But that didn't work. You walk into the bathroom, the light turns on. It should be like that.
It should be. It should be. Well, good evening. Welcome to Cypress Creek Baptist Church. Our evening with our missionaries. I'm gonna hear a little bit. I'll let you ask some questions. I've got some questions y'all have turned in. We got a game we're gonna play for a gift card, and I looked, and it's Texas Roadhouse and Spring Creek Barbecue.
I don't know that place.
Okay, I know it's gonna be chosen tonight. I mean, that's not hard to figure out. Okay, so we'll play a game for that in a little bit. We've been playing same style last couple of weeks, so we'll do that. So first, I want to talk to, this is Levi and Chelsea Wilson. Yeah. Okay, just make sure. Okay, but anyway, they're going to be missionaries to South Sudan. Okay, South Sudan. So tell us about South Sudan just for a second.
What about South Sudan?
The history.
Well, the country. What's it like? Is it modern? Is it third world? What's it like when you get there, travel, all that kind of stuff?
So South Sudan, a little bit of a history. When it was all Sudan, anybody who wasn't a Muslim got persecuted against. So over time, people kind of migrated down to the south, and then after a little while, they got some more people down there and more people, and they kind of grew in numbers. And then they're like, you know what? Let's start our own thing. So then they started their own thing, and that grew and was going well. And they're like, you know what? We got something good going on here. Let's go ahead and get our independence. So they fought Sudan for their independence, and then they won their independence in 2011, making them the newest country in the world. So South Sudan is technically, like on paper, a Christian nation, because everybody who wasn't a Muslim went to South Sudan. So there you go. But like Chelsea was saying, it's mainly Christianity in name only. They know about God, or they heard about God, or they've done schooling, but they don't necessarily have that heart knowledge. I almost did the Pat thing that we talked about. Yeah.
Don't do that.
I know. I was like, I've never done that, and I just about did it.
Yeah. Well, you gotta watch it. It's tricky. They do that. They put it in your mind just to make you do that.
That's what I said. That's what I told her.
Subliminal messaging there,
But the country itself is a third world like country. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I YouTubed it, and I found that there's actually cars and stuff, and
that's good.
Yeah. And buildings, and we do have 2 paved roads.
In the country or in the city?
Probably the country.
In the country, okay.
It was in Juba. We've got 2 paved roads. They're making progress and moving out towards us. The airport is nice now, but the longer there's peace, the more infrastructure is going to come around. It would have been a lot farther along than it is, because they won their independence in 2011, but then they're like, you know what? I think we like fighting. So they had their own civil war.
They were Baptist.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. So like a year after winning their independence, they had their own civil war, and then they've been fighting ever since. But right now they're in a time of peace, so hopefully that lasts.
Right, awesome. So when you guys decided to be missionaries, what was your expectation of what deputation would be like? What did you think it was going to be like?
That's an interesting question.
See, I'm going to ask questions you've never thought of before, so get ready.
So when we first started thinking about deputation, we had a lot of missionary friends because we came from a very missions-minded church. So our church has sent out like 18 missionaries out of our church. So we had a lot of people we could ask about, and some of them are like, oh, deputation, and it's like just you have to get through it and all of that. And so we kind of thought it was going to be a struggle, but we've really loved deputation. We've really loved getting to meet awesome church families like your guys' church, and
Well, I know what she's trying to do there, Robert.
It's getting a little thick.
You don't remember this one? Yeah.
But
We got high chairs. That's good.
Now you made me lose my train of thought. I was going to say something.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, I remember one of the things I was not sure about was, what's it going to be like sharing your field every week? Am I going to lose my passion to share about the field that God's called us to? And it's not been like that at all. Like, you're just excited to share with more people about the place that God's called you to the people God's called you to, and just the excitement of the ministry that's going on there.
I was like Chelsea. If you tuned in this morning, we're here. I was talking about how I grew up in Cherry Street, and we had missionaries come in and out all the time. So, got to talk to a lot of missionaries. A lot of our friends are missionaries. One of my roommates is missionaries. I was going to say, I think you do support the trills too.
Oh, and the Salmons.
And the Salmons.
Ricky and Tammy.
Yes. My roommate son was Shane Salmon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got to talk to Shane a lot, and it was a lot of the other missionaries about deputation and the even just kind of growing up through missions conferences and talking to them. And so we had a good, as good as you could have a foundation on what the pros and cons and woes of deputation would be. So we're like, okay, we're going in expecting the worst, but it's been pretty good. Like I said, I grew up in Cherry Street my entire life, so I was actually kind of excited about going out on deputation so I could actually see how other churches actually did it, because I've visited a handful of churches throughout, just visiting with friends or something, but never really attended anywhere else. So I thought that was going to be neat to get to see all the different churches.
And then you got to Cypress Creek and you were like, no,
we're done.
Done.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah. So how far are y'all along in deputation? Where are you at support-wise?
We are at 95%.
Whoa.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
That's all God.
And how long did that take you guys?
We've been at it since January of 2021, officially.
So you're just over a year.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, so they had some special. Javi and Tiffany would have made it in about a year and a half if it weren't for COVID. But because they were replaced in Enix and they're really trying to get them there, I mean, our fellowship really pushed these guys. And how many churches, did any churches take you on without you even coming?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest blessings so far. John Connerup, when we at our approval, he did now we've started to, that was the first time we've heard this, but we've heard that a lot here, throughout our deputation process of, we don't normally do this, but, so he stood up in front of the camera, it was all virtual, and said, we don't normally do this at approval, but they're going out and the Enix, health situations, and they need to get to the field just as quick as possible. Who would raise their hand and say, we'll go ahead and take you guys on without you guys showing up? So 10 pastors raised their hands, and 9 actually did. So I think that was a pretty good return.
So have you tracked down that one yet? Or can you give me his name later? Just,
we did.
We'll figure them out, because I mean, how can a pastor say he's going to take you on? Maybe it's just not yet.
We still love the guy,
Okay.
and he's top notch.
It wasn't your home pastor, was it?
I don't want to talk about it.
No, okay, well, let's, I'm just, anyway. So we, as a church, we have gone through that process recently of sending Javi and Tiffany and them going through deputation and all that kind of stuff. And so what would your recommendation be for a church? Like now, you guys grew up in a church that really had missionaries in all the time, and we, pre-COVID, had missionaries in at least once a month. And of course, since COVID, we haven't been able to do that. But what's one thing a church can do for you guys that, or for any missionary, that you think would really be a blessing? I told you these aren't gonna be easy questions. I
think this is all speculation, but the continual reaches or touches, because we go out and we visit the church and whatever church it may be, and then we leave and we have like, oh yeah, this is great, and we get to know people, and she knows more people and I forget them, but I'm like, yeah, I know that guy from somewhere. But I think what would be really neat is once we're there for a while and churches are still saying, hey, just wanted to say we're praying for you, or hey, here's an email. I was going to say a card, but we don't get mail. An email,
Dose and mail.
or a Facebook message, or I think that would be pretty neat, because we were in South Carolina, and then we left, and then like a week later, someone texted us and, hey, we're praying for you. I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like they still remember us.
Yeah, Chelsea, what do you think?
Well, I was just thinking about what some churches have done while we've been on the road. We have a girl in one of the youth groups at the churches we've been in, and she kind of has adopted us, and she picks our brains for questions as far as, she feels called to mission. So she asks us questions. She asks us about South Sudan. So we've kind of been in an email communication with her, and it's always encouraging to get an email from her and to be able to answer her back. We've seen in other churches that kind of one couple will adopt a church family, or a missionary family. So just like Levi said, those little touches of just, hey, I was praying for you today, or a Facebook message, or just prayer, really. But knowing that you're praying for us always means a lot too.
So we have permission to put your email address out on our prayer list like we do, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because we're going to support them, but that might have changed it. No, I'm just teasing. I'm joking. They've been with me enough now. They're starting to like, yeah, I don't believe you. Anyway, I want to grab some questions.
We're sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to grab some questions. These are questions, so some of them apply different types of missionaries because we had before the missions conference.
Now remember, you said you were going to get to the very bottom of the barrel so that you give Chelsea the hard ones.
Okay, then that doesn't count. I'm just teasing. That was about manna missions. Okay, so it's specifically about manna. That's why I just didn't do it. Okay. We've had this one before, but this is a cool one. What's been the biggest blessing in your ministry so far, or a deputation? What's the biggest blessing so far during deputation? No, you can only choose one. You can't be like my wife and have 14 favorites. Okay, that word means one, right? Favorite.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to say one before Chelsea steals it, but I don't think she normally says. But we were in South Carolina at a church, and same church that texted us the week later, and it was during COVID or tail end of COVID last year, and it was our last church before we came home to have Lincoln, and we didn't have any baby showers, and we're on the road, so we wouldn't have had it anyways, but COVID and everything. So they were able to do the same thing for Shane and Katie when they were there, and then they did the same thing for us. They had a church-wide baby shower for us, where they went out and bought diapers and wipes and some stuff like that. So that was a year ago, and we just now ran out of diapers that they had given us. So
now, if you, especially teens, if you surrender to be a missionary, doesn't mean you're going to get pregnant right then. Okay, just because we have two examples of that right there doesn't mean that's always the case. Chelsea, what was your favorite memory? What's your biggest blessing you've had during COVID? During deputation.
I would say it was one of the first churches we went to, and they gave me a bag, and they said, stand in front of the church, and every single woman in the church walked around and got in line, and each woman just put money in this bag, and they said, you have to spend this on yourself. And it was, I mean, I'm just like standing there holding the bag, like crying, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that for me. It meant a lot, and it was super impactful, super big blessing.
And so did you spend it all on you?
I sure did.
Okay,
Actually,
just
I
making
bought
sure.
Lincoln some.
Because we do that. Wait. Did we hear that? Like, oh, yes, I did some of the stuff about Lincoln. You know, she tried to slide that in there, you know. But yeah, we've done that. You know, we do that. This time we did with not doing a missions conference. But, you know, typically I have to, like, send Melanie or somebody along with them because moms and wives just are always like, why? My kid, my husband, you know, needs something like that. And so I'm glad you did that. Okay, next question. What has been something that you thought was going to be bad, but turned out to be a blessing on deputation?
So many good questions, guys.
Something that you dreaded maybe that ended up you love, or, you know, something along that line. You thought, man, I like sleep in a hotel room every night, or, you know, in the van or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess when we first started out, we didn't really know what to expect. So at first, we were just doing the hotel thing. You know, churches would put us up in a hotel, and then we would travel, from place to place. And we went down in Florida and stayed in a hotel down there, and they used that hotel back in the day. And then they had their own missions apartment, and then they started using this one again because there was another family in it. And the hotel wasn't what it used to be, and so it was pretty bad. So we're like, okay, we're gonna focus on just as many missions apartments as we can, because we heard like a lot of horror stories about missions apartments, and we're like, well, they may not be that great, but at least we won't have any neighbors. But so we started doing that, and that started to be out to turn into something that was really nice, because we still hear some stories, but all the apartments that we've been in have had some character at some places, but they've either been kind of funky but had plenty of space, or really nice but kind of small. But that was way better than what I think a lot of churches that have missions apartments have heard the stigma of old, and a lot of them have revamped their missions apartments and made them nicer. So that's been a huge blessing that we didn't expect. Like, oh man, we're gonna have to sleep in the coat closet. But there's been some really amazing
Sleep in the
places.
auditorium,
Yeah.
But be up by 7 because people will be here for church tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I guess I would say the whole just upheaval of your life every couple of days, and repacking, and I thought that was just, I mean, it's different, but it's not like, oh, this is like draining me of my life or anything. It's just like, I don't know. We call it a season, the whole packing your stuff and moving and going on. But it makes life interesting, and you get to meet all these different people, and you just never know who God's going to bring across your path and wherever you're at. So I think that's become a big blessing. I guess I just try to tell myself, we're going to be in South Sudan for like 2 to 3 years, just like staying there, and we're not going to go anywhere. So, try to enjoy this movement that we have right now.
So what's been like, okay, so when Javi and Tiffany were on deputation, I told them, I said, listen, if you're near something cool, go do it, see it. Because, you're always traveling, you're in missions conference every night, and I said, don't feel guilty about, if you're in Florida, go to Disney World,
Mm-hmm.
If you're near the Grand Canyon, go see. I said, make sure and take some time out to do those kind of things to make it exciting. Have y'all done anything like that on deputation? Seen something you thought you never would have before?
Yeah, we've tried to take that approach and at least do as much cool, free or inexpensive things that we could do, and then we have hit up some nice little spots like that. But we were telling them at lunch, Lincoln's been more places than we have in pretty much our life now. We've been hiking up in Montana in the mountains. He's been on the plane before, been to the beach a few times. out and about, just whenever we could find some place that's cool. I went to a couple water parks, so it's been a pretty cool experience. So I was like, okay, where are we at now? What cool places? We did see.
I just saw it. Did you see that? Oh yeah.
One place that
good.
one place that was just unique and just weird, but was really actually pretty cool was Illinois.
Oh, the Guinness World
Yeah,
Record.
there was
largest
just
things.
the whole town had their own world's biggest thing. Like each little kind of shopping area or business kind of owned their own biggest thing. So there was like the world's biggest rocking chair, the world's biggest pencil, the world's biggest mailbox, and there was like
cool.
10 of them, pitchforks, golf clubs. So it was neat, just like, wow, this is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So that's something that we never would have done unless we were out on the road. So that was pretty
Especially because that was in the middle of nowhere.
neat. Yeah.
Well, Houston has something like that. We have the world's biggest traffic jam.
Ah, yeah.
That's
there
true.
you go.
Right here on 290, usually, no. Chelsea, is there anything that, like, other than what he said, if not, that's cool, but is there anything, like, you got to do that was really cool that you really like?
I mean, when we're in Florida, we try to hit up every beach we can, even if it's just like 30 minutes or just like a 10-minute walk. Like, let's just go to the beach. Let's see what this one's like.
Okay, so that kind of answers one of the questions in here. I don't know where it's at. Is it's mountains or beach?
Oh, we don't want to pick.
I think that really is a 50-50,
We like
'Cause
mountains.
we-
We like beach.
Yeah.
They both have their complete opposites, and they both have their beauty of themselves. So.
Absolutely. Okay, who has a question? Who out there has a question? Okay, Karen. Now remember, I have to repeat it for online, so I'm not just.
But I wasn't in the service this morning because we're back there.
Okay.
How did y'all pick South Sudan then?
Okay, how did they pick South Sudan?
That's my question. Okay. So, when we were engaged, okay, let me backtrack a little bit more. So we surrendered to missions as single people. So Levi, originally, he surrendered to missions as a single person to China. I prayed about it and prayed about it. I never felt a specific place, but I always had a peace about wherever my husband was called, I would go to. I wasn't dating anyone at the time. I wasn't, no one,
That was
no
faith.
prospects.
Faith promise
faith.
right there. See, it
So,
works. Look at that.
It totally worked. So when we got engaged, Levi said we need to pray about whether China is where God's calling us as a married couple. So we prayed about that. God, is China the place for our whole engagement, first full year of marriage? And then it was the night of our 1-year anniversary. We were at church, and I said, Levi, we just need to go forward and tell our church family we're going to China because we hadn't had a clear answer or any other direction. So we did that. And then 2 months later, our pastor comes to us at our mission conference, and he said, hey, I know you guys have surrendered to China, but I've been praying about a couple to go to a specific place, and every time I pray that prayer, you guys come to mind, and I keep saying, God, no, they're going to China, and I just have to tell you about it. So he told us about South Sudan at that time. The missionaries, Ron and Christine Enoch, that were in South Sudan, they are sent out of our church, Cherry Street Baptist Church. So pastor was looking for a couple to take their place. So anyway, we just kept quiet about it because we were like, we just surrendered to China. So we just prayed about it for 9 months, and God continued to make it clear that South Sudan was where he was calling us. So that was in October of, I can't remember, 2018, I think, when our pastor told us about it. And then May of 2019, we surrendered to South Sudan. And that's when everything started going. Levi started an internship at the church. And then we went to Africa for 6 months in January of 2020. So that, for me, when we flew into South Sudan, that was the confirmation that this is where God has called us. So, yeah.
Cool. Another question? Oh, anybody? Okay, Elaine.
I know y'all said Jubic Arabic is one of the languages. Do y'all know any words?
Salam.
Okay, so the question is, do y'all know any words in the language of South Sudan? Is that right,
Well,
Elaine?
Juba Arabic.
Juba Arabic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do. Do you remember him?
Do you remember them? We know some, but do you remember them?
Oh, this was a test for him. So I'm saying.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Salam,
Good job.
not salami.
Yeah. We always
Sal-
teach that to the kids. It's not salami. It's salami.
That's hello.
And then
Your turn.
it's salam. S-A-L-A-A-M. Salam.
So kind of like shalom, but
Yeah.
Salam.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And then
Si.
if you want to ask how someone's doing, you say itaques. And then the person responds if they want to say I'm fine, you say anaques. Salt is mile. Soap is sabun. We'll have a tutor that comes to us every week to practice the language. Yeah, we know like 5 or 6.
That's the first couple years is language. We had to send Javi and Tiffany to a place that spoke English. Just, so, but y'all are going to, no, so what languages are there? Is it just one?
Yeah, so officially, the language in South Sudan is officially English, but that is mainly for like business and government. But it's nice that all the buildings and street signs are in English, but the majority of the people, they speak Juba Arabic.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of other little
Tribal.
tribal languages that they speak, but the unifying language is Juba Arabic.
Yeah, and boy, all those little dialects. We knew a family that was missionaries, and the daughters came back, and they were speaking like 3 or 5 languages, and they were just like in junior high and high school. And I mean, Afrikaans, French. I can't remember. The older girl was in our youth department. She spoke like 5 languages. And I'm like,
Wow.
so then we went out, and her and I have kind of the same personality. So we go to amusement parks, and she'd be talking one language, I'd be talking the other, and people, whoa, So anyway, another question. Who's got another question? Okay, Lauren.
How long is the flight to get to where you are in South Sudan?
How long is the flight to get to where you're going to be in South Sudan?
From door to door, it's about 36 hours.
And is it to get to like is it a city, a village?
Capital city.
So y'all are they're going to be in the capital city.
Yes.
So is it like a jet or is it like a small turboprop?
It's multiple
Both.
lanes.
Yeah.
I think we do like 6 flights. Yeah.
Boy.
And we're going to do that with a 1-year-old now.
Woo-hoo. So when is y'all's date do y'all have a date set when y'all are leaving?
We don't have a specific date, but we're planning on leaving in May.
In May.
Yeah.
So here we are in February, March, April,
Yeah.
2.5 months. So that's
Let's
awesome.
not think about it.
Well, I will tell you, and we did this with Javi and Tiffany, their last month or 2, they came back here and stayed to spend time with family.
Yeah.
And I told them, you're going to be gone 4 years, whatever, before you plan to see them or whatever. Spend all the time right now with them. And so, that's important.
Our
Being-
pastor recommended the same thing. We'll
Yeah.
be home. We do our last mission conference the first week in April, and then we're home until we fly
until you
out in
purchase
mid-May.
the tickets. And-
Mhm.
Yeah. So are y'all flying out of Springfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
We'll-
plan.
Oh,
that
boy.
would be good.
Oh boy, I've flown out of there before. That's interesting. Anyway,
We have
it's a
TSA
good sized
for-
airport, but like they told us, show up 2 hours early, and we barely made our flight,
Wow.
being 2 hours early. Anyway, who else? Anybody else have a question? Brian,
What's the weather like?
what's the weather like
Hot.
where you're at?
Well, we got 3 different seasons. We got hot, hotter, and hottest. Pretty much.
But it's a dry heat, so I would say it's more like Arizona heat. It's hot, but it's not like super humid. However, we haven't been there during the rainy season.
So there is a dry season and a rainy season. So,
yeah, so probably humid then.
and it's hot during the day. It can be anywhere 100, 104, 110. But then it does cool off in the evenings, at least the times that we were there. So that's a blessing.
So we have a lot of kids that come at night to play football on our piece of land. And so, it's just nice. All the kids are out there playing and watch the sunset because there's not much out to block the sunset. It's about 75 during the nights, 80, yeah.
Okay. I won't tell you what just happened. There's a handheld. The dad goes. Let me ask you a question from our thing. Are groceries expensive there? It's a multi-part question. Are groceries expensive, Are they readily available? How much is like a gallon of gas, milk, gallon of that? And do you like the food there?
I'll take this question. It's more of a girl question.
More of a girl question.
So they have 2 grocery stores, and it would be very expensive if we were to shop at these grocery stores. And not only that, but the food comes on refrigeration trucks that could have broken down a number of times before it got to the grocery store. So we really don't want to eat the food in the grocery stores. It's expensive and it's not safe. So we will go to the markets, and we've already had Maury get us a lot of stuff from the markets. So produce was really good there. Vegetables were really good. I did get a batch of beans that had bugs in it, so I wasn't really a fan of that. But we'll just
More
get
protein.
We'll just
But
I'm
it was
sure
it
we-
was
we'll
it
figure
was
it out.
dry beans, you
It
know,
was
so we
dry
just kind of
beans, yeah.
shaking them off.
Yeah, we tried
When
to
you
like
boil,
leave
they all
it
die
outside,
anyway.
let the bugs fly away, and they didn't want to leave. I don't know why. And then I remember I asked Maury. I said, "Hey, what milk do you guys drink? Buy me whatever milk you guys drink at the market." He came back with powdered milk. I was so shocked. I was like, "Oh, you guys drink powdered milk? Okay." So we drank some of that too. We might get adventurous and try some goat milk or something. It'd be fun. But they have, so the meat skills, it starts out with like the goat would be the cheapest meat, and then you can get like some sheep meat, and then beef would be very expensive, but still, those
Chicken.
prices, oh yeah, there was chicken, wasn't there? Those prices are gonna be way less than what we would spend at the grocery store. We like the food there. We went to a couple different houses to eat, and I didn't find anything I didn't like. We would eat at the market, and they eat with their hands, which I like. I thought it was a lot of fun. Levi, what do you think about
I'm okay with it. I don't know if we'll ever be brave enough to get some of the dried fish they have hanging from the window. So
I don't know about that.
Sushi.
But I'm excited to learn from the South Sudanese women how they cook their meals, because a lot of it's outside cooking, and it'll be fun.
Wow, outside cooking, we think that's like specialty. You can have an outdoor kitchen, but it's like, Elaine, got another question.
How's the COVID restrictions over there?
How are the COVID
There
restrictions
really isn't any.
in South Sudan?
so as a
I
cup.
don't think that was intended.
That's it. There you go.
So they had some shutdowns in South Sudan, and at one point everything was kind of shut down with the feeding center and the school. They never did fully shut down the church. We've got the police chief and another military guy in the area, and they got good relationships with the Maury and the missionaries, and so I kind of came up to him and said, you got to abide by all the rules, but if you guys want to keep meeting, go ahead. So they were only able to do maybe 10 to 15 people at a time instead of the full thing, but they were able to meet and have some Bible studies, so that was really nice. Sada, the missionary that we talked about, she's been back twice, and it was in the middle of COVID, and she said went to the airport, and there was people in hazmat suits, kind of sort of, like, whoa, these are guys dressed up. But outside of that, it was like it didn't exist, kind of thing. We did when we were there, and it was just getting started. The hotels and everything were doing a lot of stuff. They were checking the temperatures and sanitizing hands. So they were proactive. So maybe that helped them out a lot. But then she's been back the second time, and she said they got in and out pretty easily. So as far as we know, there isn't really any restrictions, and we're not sure of actual COVID cases.
Okay, let's do our game for this evening. We have Texas Roadhouse and Spring Creek Barbecue, and despite everybody's moaning, they're both equal, okay? Okay, so everybody stand up. Oh, I don't want to show you the answers. Everybody stand up.
I heard Olive Garden was better.
You heard, yeah. It was last night. But anyway, okay, true or false? True or false? Now, I make it up. Chelsea's a chef and nutritionist. True or false? She's a chef and nutritionist. True or false? Don't show your face if you can't keep a good, straight face.
Yeah, I'm not so good at that.
Okay, you got to be standing up if you're playing. Okay. Oh, you saw the list. Yeah, you can't play. You can't play. Okay.
It's like, oh,
Okay.
it's not cheating. It's using all your
This
assets.
is true. This is false, right? Okay, I'm going to let her answer this.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. Q and Lauren. Okay,
Good
y'all come
job.
here. Y'all come up here. They're too young. Lauren and Q are going. Yeah. Okay, y'all got to stand here. Okay.
Wow, good job, guys.
Wow, man.
Man, y'all got eliminated fast.
Now remember something. This is going to be a short game. Remember something this morning. What did I tell y'all? I said both the people that have won have gone, when everybody else went to one side, they went to the other.
I remember.
And we narrowed it. You heard me,
I heard
right?
you.
And we narrowed it down to 2 in one question. So I was, man.
Respect to
Okay, are y'all ready? Okay, y'all are still in. Okay,
Good job.
let's stay with Chelsea. She plays the bassoon. True or false? Chelsea plays the bassoon. True or false?
What's a bassoon?
It's an instrument that's a long stick instrument. It's got a little bitty reed come to it. Am I describing it right? Okay.
Like a didgeridoo?
Somewhat. Yeah, sort of. So she plays a bassoon. True, she plays a bassoon. False, she doesn't play a bassoon.
I don't know what a bassoon is, so I'm thinking no.
Okay, Chelsea, we've done this. I have done this game. How many times have I done this game, Melanie, over the years? Have it ever been settled in 2 questions? I cannot believe this,
I
but
didn't think I was very talented.
Chelsea, bassoon, true or false?
Well, I play.
Oh, you got your own mic. What am I doing?
That's true. I have my mic. I play the bass. That is a string instrument. So the answer to a bassoon would be false.
False.
Yeah, my main man.
Okay, now come here. Come here. Come here, Talon. Okay, you get to choose which one. Okay, but listen. You won.
Yeah.
Hey, quiet in the back. Okay, you get to make your own choice, okay? So, do you want Texas Roadhouse or do you want Spring Creek Barbecue?
Does it have a minute to think?
Yes, you can have a minute. You can have a minute. Wait. Hold on. Talon, come here before you go back there. Come here. Are you grounded right now?
No,
No?
I'm good.
You're good. So this won't get you out of trouble. Okay. I was just thinking, are you only eating cereal right now?
No, I'm past that now.
You're past that. Good, because this wouldn't do much good if you were here. Okay.
I feel like a freebie every time that I go somewhere different.
Okay. You can go take your minute now. You got 1 minute. Go.
Oh, he's lit. Okay.
That is interesting. He doesn't go. He passes mom by, hands the phone off. Dad's in the back. He doesn't go to Dad. He goes to Keith.
Did he just say Texas Roadhouse?
He just left. Out the house. He's gone. Okay, Taylor, you can go sit back down with your mom. So there's some interesting facts. I'll read you. We had a lot of facts. They both, it says we, so they both love outdoors and hiking.
True.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. What's your choice?
I want steak.
I don't got none. Which one do you want? Texas Roadhouse.
There we go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. So next week is for Spring Creek Barbecue. Now here's the thing. Y'all go to Spring? Have you ever been to Spring Creek Barbecue?
No, we didn't
So
know about
here's
it.
the thing. On Sundays, they give free Bluebell ice cream out on Sundays.
Oh.
And it was so good today. Oh boy. So next week, you got one chance, last chance next week with the hoagies. So do that. But anyway, guess where their honeymoon was? Belize. That was, man, you went.
Better believe it.
That was.
Lauren, that's our
surprised.
joke right there. I was really trying to think that what can I say, believe it or not, or something like that, but I didn't. He can't. Yep, that was
That was
good.
our wedding hashtag.
Believe it or not?
No, better
Oh,
believe
okay.
it.
Better believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not would be kind of a bad wedding tag.
that'd be
This side of the auditorium is believes it. This side is believes it not. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Do we have anybody that opposes? Yes. Levi once flew a plane. Yeah.
Well, I did, I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express, and I was like, guys, no, I was working at FedEx, and I was delivering to a airport, a little small airport, and I saw a guy come in and land, and he was coming in as I was going in. I'm like, hey, I saw you land. That's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, you want to go up for a ride? And I was like, I thought he was kidding. So I was like, all right. And so he didn't think I was going to say, take him up on the offer. And he's like, oh, okay. So we kind of stared at each other for a minute. And I'm like, so how long is this ride going to take? So he went in, we got up in the air, and he's like, all right, you're playing. I'm like, okay. So I guess I was pulling back on the
Yeah, that would
joystick.
stall it. Yeah, that's not good.
And he's like, all right, let me give you a little crash course here.
No, that's a way. You
I
don't
know.
say that
And
in a
that's what I
plane.
said. I'm like, well, that's not a very. He's like, just keep the horizon in the middle of the windshield, and you're golden. I'm like, that's a good idea. So I did.
So was this while you were delivering packages?
I mean, I might have been on the clock. I don't know.
I'm just thinking, there's one for you. There's one for you. There's one,
I mean,
hey, could you buzz that house over there? I got a package for it, like.
I did code my lunch hour in between that time. So
Okay.
He was honest.
Okay. So Lincoln's favorite food is spaghetti.
Yep.
All right. And they've traveled over 30,000 miles on deputation.
It's true.
30. So those are the facts they get, I had a bunch more. Oh, wait, there's one I missed.
I think FedEx, Levi working at FedEx.
Oh, here we go. I'll give y'all a bonus question.
Ooh.
Okay, raise your hand or keep your hand down. This is one I just skipped, and I didn't mean to, but it was good. Okay. If you think Levi is under 35, raise your hand. If you think Levi is over 35, keep your hand down. Levi under 35 or over 35? So we got lots of hands up. Levi, you under or over?
I'm 25.
Sorry.
Keep
be honest.
I
Look
am
at
40.
So Melanie and I were at lunch today going, he told me, which was the truth. That would be over. I didn't ask him to tell his age. I just said over under, I wasn't trying to give it away. I didn't know if
Man, I could have got away with it.
you could have got away and then still mess with them. See, I thought you were going to say over, and then later when people say, how much over, you
Well,
could get more support.
Half of them don't believe me anyways.
Yeah, half of them don't believe it. So we were talking about it at lunch, and he told me he graduated high school in 2000. I'm like going, wait, I graduated in 92. So that means he's 8 years younger than me, approximately. He's 40 years old, but I can do math, so, Anyway, Chrissy?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you plan on riding the ostriches again?
Yes, I will. We didn't get to ride them. We didn't get to ride
Okay,
them.
story time. We need to know what's going on here.
Oh, well, when we were in our internship, we found out that we could ride ostriches, and we were like, yeah.
And, yeah, we
And
were in
then,
Kenya.
We were in Kenya. It was in Kenya. And COVID happened, so we didn't get to do it. So when we go
They were
back
afraid
at some
you'd give
point, we're
COVID to
gonna
the
ride
ostriches.
I gained a little weight, so I don't know if I'm going to be.
Yeah, I think you have to be
I'm too
like
fat right now.
150, like under 150 pounds to ride them. So, I mean, it's a bird. You probably can't be too heavy to ride a bird.
That's just that's discrimination against us health
That's what
insulated people. You know what I'm saying?
Instantly.
Us insulated people. We got some insulation going. Okay. Okay, so any other questions before we go back to some of the other questions? Any questions here? How did y'all meet? And she's got to be like 20, 22, right? Yes, that's the answer.
Well, the way Chelsea tells it, which she will tell, because I'm not telling it. I'm not as good as she is. But apparently, we met and dated like 15 times before we actually, dated for real. So.
Okay, we met at Cherry Street Baptist Church. I started going there in 2008, and Levi was going there since he was born. And we were friends for 6 years, but there was a couple times when we were friends that Levi asked me to go out one-on-one. I thought it was a date. Levi's never thought those were dates for some reason. I don't know why.
She makes it sound so, I got on one knee and asked her to, would you please come to Dairy Queen with me?
So Springfield's
come on,
different
this is like a
standards
girl
of
night
dating.
versus a
You
guy
know what I'm
night.
saying here? The guys need to move to Springfield because if Dairy Queen's a date,
He took me to Silver Dollar City one time.
What?
I mean, that could have been borderline.
Yeah. So here's the crazy fact that I didn't know till just now. Mel and I met at Cherry Street.
Yes.
We both argue about what our first date is.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, we argue over who asked. She asked me out. Can you believe that?
You go, girl.
Yeah.
Girl power.
Yeah. She asked me out. Don't. She did. She did. Anyway.
I believe it.
She just said she was available for a certain night, and then that was just your
No.
date.
She asked me to go to a concert. You think I'm. Anyway, we won't cover that tonight because, let me check some other. It's a long debate. Story. Okay, here we go. What's been the hardest thing to overcome so far? Now let me
Probably
preface
being-
this.
I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Every couple has disagreements, right? And when you have a disagreement, it's nice to go somewhere separate. When you're in a hotel room, our first year of marriage was in BBC efficiencies. So when somebody got mad and you wanted to get apart, somebody had to go to the bathroom. Because that's the only door in the place, And then if somebody really had to go, it was kind of awkward because you're mad at each other. You don't want to talk, but So, but what's been maybe, like in your person, like who you really are, because we're real here and things like that happen. But, what's your biggest struggle? What's been the hardest thing to overcome during deputation and trying to go there?
I know what I want to say.
You go for it.
Okay, so it was March of 2021. Yeah, we just finished our last church in March, and we wanted to get home when I was 37 weeks pregnant, just in case Lincoln came early. And man, that was hard because we were like, okay, we're going to be parents. We don't know what that's like. And up until that time, we were busy the whole time, so we didn't have to think about it. So then we got home, and that was all we were thinking about was we're going to be parents. What's that going to be like? When's this baby coming? Like, those were all the things going through our mind. So we took a lot of walks during that time. Like, I'm talking like 2 hours a day just walking, just like to, just be away from everything. So, because we didn't know what to think. But, Lincoln came and we figured it out. We're really thankful. But yeah, just the whole what's it going to be like to be a parent thing was, for me, the hardest thing to overcome.
Yeah, ladies. Hold on. Let me preface this. Ladies, can you imagine being pregnant and traveling all the time?
No, thank you. No, thanks.
Chelsea is now your hero.
Yeah. She's
Thank you.
certainly a trooper. So for me, it was, now this is, real questions, I don't know if,
Yeah.
don't talk about this much,
No.
But for me, it was a combination and culmination of a lot of things, and it was tough for me that the whole becoming a dad thing, and never had a kid before, and then being out on the road, and then starting out with the whole deputation, and whole ministry thing. Because I grew up at Cherry Street all my life, but I've never actually been on staff anywhere. So that's been good, except for the 6-month internship, which was really good. But so I was, still in my head thinking, I'm like, I can't do this. I've never even worked at a church, much less led one. And so I was struggling pretty bad with, comparisоnism. I'm like, well, this guy is doing this, and this, and I could never do that. This guy over here, this, and this. And so that and, struggling with, being a dad, is like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, because I wasn't getting a lot of sleep at the time because of all that. And then I'm like, what's it going to be like when the baby comes? And that's going to be even worse. So there's some people at the missions office that I was able to talk to. And when we got back into town, and I was able to meet with them like a couple times a week and for like a month, and work through a lot of the different things of just like, well, I don't have to know everything to be a missionary or a pastor or something, and I can learn as we go, and just because, and part of the whole being 40 and being at the church for a long time, I was like, I should know more than I do because I don't know much. So that worked into it. So all that to say, the kind of the biggest struggle for me was the whole my own expectations, or what I thought other people would have, expectations for me. And so that's been the hardest thing for me is realizing that I don't have to have it all together. And
I appreciate that answer because that's real. That's the struggles we have. Everybody, the first time, even when non-missionaries have a baby, go, what? As us dads trying to provide for our family and be totally love offering supported and stuff like that's tough because, how am I going to make it? I can't let me, and stuff like that. But you brought up an awesome point in that, our comparison, or I could never do that. So let's say we have somebody here at our church that, or watching online or watching this later, that says, I want to serve God, but I don't know if I have the ability. What would you tell them?
Well, I would say none of us have the ability to do it. And we're all equipped to do what we can do at the very time we do it. So I can share somebody with the gospel, or I can at least invite somebody to church, but then not be satisfied with where we're at, but continue to move forward, but being satisfied and content with what we are in the moment, and knowing that, hey, I don't have to be this at this point my whole time, but it's okay that I'm at where I'm at right now. So, and then not comparing yourself to other people, which is way easier to say than actually do, but and then if you're in that kind of spot, then just automatically flip it instead of, oh man, that guy knows way more than I do, or at least I think he knows way more than I do. Be like, well, praise the Lord, I'm glad he does know what he knows. I know what I know, and I may not be as smart as he is one day, but I could be. So just not putting all that pressure on yourself, and knowing that God's got you right where he wants you at that very moment in time. And just because you're not where you think you might be or should be doesn't mean you can't get there eventually.
Yeah, we have a lot of, in our church, we have a lot of people that's been in church a long time, and a lot of people who are new to church, and, so we're trying to get teachers. So that's a good thing, to tell them, you can do it. We can all teach. You just got to know that lesson that week. That's it. That's all you got to know, right? Okay, let me pull another question out of here. See if we get another. I am kind of doing this for you guys being on deputation. What is the best thing about being a missionary?
Well, I mean, you get all these really neat experiences. But you also have an amazing team of people from all the churches we've gone to. We know that they're praying for us, and we get to know them on a different level than we'd ever get to if we weren't traveling like we are. But in the country you go to, you also just get to experience some different life. Like Lincoln is going to live a totally different life than Levi and I ever did, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him, but just being in a different culture, I mean, it's going to be neat to see what God does with his life.
Yeah, I'd say similar to what she was saying, just the being able to go out to these different churches and seeing all the different churches that we've been to. Growing up in the same church, I see it's a double-edged sword almost, like realizing, oh, our home church really is a pretty awesome church. We not that I didn't doubt it, but just knowing and seeing other churches and seeing like, oh wow, because in my head I thought most churches were at least similar to our home church, and we've been to some other churches and we're like, oh, they don't do this or this, and I'm like, wow. So that was encouraging to that. Wow, we do have a really cool church. But then also at the same time, there's so many churches that we've been to that are just like little little sister or brother churches from our own church. Like, hey, we could come back, and this would just be like we were at our home church. So it's really neat to see churches so spread apart within different areas, but yet still accomplishing the same goal of ministering to the people where they're at. Then sending out missionaries, and missions being part of the fabric of the church, not just part of it, but part of the, you can't have one without the other kind of thing. So I think that's been pretty cool, and seeing the camaraderie amongst the churches and stuff.
Awesome. Okay, we got time for one question. I'll draw one if I need to, but does anybody out here have one last question that you wanted to ask? Okay, I'm going to draw. I think I just saw one that said, "What's your favorite child?" I bet I could answer that for you guys.
That's easy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point. Okay.
At this point.
Yeah, we do consider, like, there's two ways to grow church. Salvation and the nursery. So.
Both are good.
We want to grow it through salvation and the nursery, just maybe not our own nursery.
No, I encourage all our members to have as many kids as they can, but just not us.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, here's one about more of, will you guys vote in the United States elections when you're overseas? And does that work? And do you vote in your country's elections, or how does that work in the country?
I don't think we'd vote in our country.
So do they vote in your country, and then how do you vote do you get to vote in the U.S. elections?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question, because South Sudan's the newest country in the world, so they've never had an election. It's always been the president and the vice president, and that's been the government. So they haven't had an election yet, so I'm not really sure what their election rules would be. I don't imagine we'd be able to vote because we're not citizens, but I guess I don't know what their process would be. But yeah, I'm sure we'll try to vote. We would definitely want to vote here because our voice is still needed.
So would you go to the U.S., do they have a U.S. Consulate or something like that?
Yep, we got an embassy there, or we could do electronically somehow, some way on us.gov or something.
Okay, we're not starting a controversy at Cypress Creek Baptist Church about voting, okay? Like election votes and stuff like that. We're not talking, but anyway. Well, that's awesome. Can you believe it's already been an hour?
That was quick.
Mm-hmm. That was a quick hour, but I love doing this because it's fun to me.
Yeah.
Robert was too close to me, so I had to make jokes. He's right there, and he was feeding them to me. You don't see my ear thing, but anyway, he was feeding me jokes from over there. But it's really cool to do kind of stuff like this to get to know your missionary, because sometimes this is where we really can hear your hearts and stuff like that. So thank you guys for doing that for us tonight and being part of that. I hope. Oh man, I wish I had time to ask you about your lunch today. I'll ask you later to see if they did anything wrong, okay? Because I know that group is,
Oh, we got stories.
We are a
We fit right in. It was great. I liked
It was awesome.
Okay. Okay, you can tell me the real story later. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, that's awesome tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. Actually, when we get through all for this week, for this month, it'll kind of start a cool catalog of interviewing missionaries and stuff like that we can refer back to and stuff. So if you want to share this with people, it'd be great for other people to understand what mission's like and what missionaries are like. Because so many times we think they're superheroes or something like that. But what we find out when we talk like this is they're just regular people that have accepted God's call in their life. And so that's why any of us can accept God's call in our life. So let's pray and be dismissed. Lord God, thank you for this evening, the time we get to spend with the Wilsons. Lord, I pray for them that you have blessed their lives, keep them safe. And Lord, as they get to South Sudan here soon, that you would impact the world through them. Lord, that your Holy Spirit would guide them in what they should do and how they should live. Lord, that they would be an example to the people around there, and that they would look at them as your word says and question what is different. Lord, I pray that they would be encouraged while they're there. Lord, I pray that we would be prayer warriors for them and we would lift them up often, knowing that they're going to go through some struggles while they're there. Lord, I pray that you would bless their ministry, that you would bless their family, that you would protect them while they're serving you, and God, that we would be a blessing to them, and that their churches around the country would support them to be able to do the work you've called them to do. We thank you for them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you. You guys are dismissed.